Welcome back to The Truth is Viral. I'm your host, Bob Powell, and you're about to watch something very exciting, very definitive in proving that the accusations being made against Pete Santilli, that he'd stolen $500,000 from the truckers and that he's an FBI informant, are totally bogus. I slapped Vinnie Eastwood and Susan Posel around like a couple of little rag dolls in this episode. But first, I want to, apologize to Pete. I promised him I'd have this up like 2 weeks ago, but life has intervened, and part of that is something I need you good folks to pay attention to, and that is that as of last Friday, my wife lost her Medicaid because of what I do, because I applied for Obamacare for my own purposes. Well. We're fighting that, and we're getting help from inside the Michigan Department of Social Services on TTIV Live this coming Friday night. You're going to hear from a woman that works inside the Michigan Department of Social Services that has a horrific story to tell, and it is probably what has affected us. She says that there's a game that these workers play for brownie points. And when they deny eligible clients benefits to which they would normally, be eligible, well, they get these brownie points, and they're good for promotion later. And the most disgusting part about it is that if you deny white people, you get more brownie points. This is coming from somebody inside the Michigan Department of Social Services. In the meantime, my wife has lost her Medicaid. I don't know what we're going to do or exactly how this is going to affect us, but she's still got to undergo chemo, and we've got to bring attention to this. So please watch this episode. Go down to the description below in underneath that video and tweet those tweets to all these talking heads in the networks. We've got to get our Obamacare nightmare out there so somebody can step in and do something about this. Because it's just not right that my wife has got to suffer. Okay? So I need your help. Please tweet those tweets. And without further ado, here we go to the smackdown of Vinnie Eastwood and Susan Posel exposing their lies about my friend, Pete Santilli.
Places you don't talk about at parties. You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall.
Keep this frequency clear.
And now it's conspiracy. See, they've made that something that should not be even entertained for a minute. That powerful people might get together and have a plan. Doesn't happen. You're a kook. You're a conspiracy buff.
You're watching The Truth is Viral, the only news program on the internet trusted to deliver the truth since 2008. And now, here's your host, Mr. Bobby Powell.
Welcome back to The Truth is Viral Live. I'm your host, Bob Powell, and in this second half of the first hour, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Susan Posel and Vinnie Eastwood. Now, I promised everybody that I would give you an update on my wife because I've got some tremendous news. And that is coming up at the top of the hour. Right now, I have a message for Anonymous. You've been had. A 4chan script kiddie falsified evidence against talk show host Pete Santilli that he claimed proved Santilli was an informant for the FBI in order to fool you into attacking his network. Apparently they did a good job because Pete's been fighting DDoS attacks for the last couple of weeks. Now, over the next half hour, I'm going to lay out the timeline of events that led to Pete Santilli being accused of stealing $500,000 from the Truckers' Ride for the Constitution by rival talk show host Vinnie Eastwood and Susan Posel, both of whom used to work for Mr. Santilli. I'm going to show you how Eastwood and Posel of Occupy Corporatism conspired with a hacker to create this lie about Santilli. I'm going to show you screenshots of their conversations and video chats, and you can identify these lying scum. And I'm going to tell you exactly why they did it, too. I hate having to waste my time talking about other talk show hosts. Usually there are far more important things that I have to do than talk about somebody else's flawed opinion. But occasionally, some people make claims that do real damage to the lives of other people, like this Justin Tribble character that I just took care of. The truth is under attack. This show, The Truth is Viral, is now hooked up with Pete Santilli and the Guerrilla Media Network, and I need to address this issue because before we go forward, I don't want this slanderous accusation to be hanging over my head because it could reflect upon my credibility as well. There have been a lot of trolls that say, "Oh, you're with Pete Santilli. Oh, we know all about you now, don't we, Mr. Powell?" Well, those people know two things, jack and shit. I will not allow my reputation to be damaged. So when I saw this story about Pete Santilli, a man that I was going to be doing business with, I needed to know the truth for myself. So I gathered some information, and I admit that most of this comes from Pete Santilli. Okay, but we're not going to be taking just his word for it. I'm going to take you through this step by step, and you'll see for yourself how this all played out. First off, I don't agree with Pete Santilli on everything. Now, I admit that I haven't done the research on Dr. Judy Wood's theory about that the Twin Towers were vaporized by some kind of advanced weaponry. I'm more, I'm more of a controlled demolition kind of guy. But we both agree that criminal elements of the government were responsible. Now, Adam Kokesh is also a host on the Guerrilla Media Network. And anybody that knows anything about me at all knows that Adam and Kokesh and I have very little in common. One thing that we all have in common, though, is a love for freedom. We may have slightly differing ideas of what that word means or how best to go about ensuring that freedom for our children, but we all know that the citizens of the United States are no longer free. Our constitutional republic has been replaced by a tyranny where one man can order the murder of an American citizen without ever charging him with a crime in a court of law, or order their arrest and enslavement by the military by executive order. There are some people that don't like that there are those of us that are going to stand up and fight back. I can't speak for anybody else, but I don't think that my show is particularly offensive. Yet I've been the target of hundreds of death threats. Some of them have even been directed at my wife and children. Some asshole threatened to gang rape my wife to death. And another asshole threatened to burn my children to death as they slept in their beds. So, if anybody wants to know why I wear a gun while I'm cooking pancakes, why I carry a gun when I'm hosting my show, that is why. If anybody thinks that they're going to harm my family, they're going to have to go through me to do it. And the United States Marine Corps spent over $1 million training me to be one of the most efficient killing machines on the face of the planet. So if you want to come, I have one piece of advice for you. Bring your own body bag. There are others that are simply butthurt. I experienced a bit of that this past week myself when I scooped some YouTube user who had been attempting to expose Justin Tribble for months. Well, this guy was comparing voice patterns and doing speech analysis. He was creating all kinds of great little animations and making fun of Justin Tribble. And you know what? He was actually doing a great job. I liked his videos. But when it all came down to it, it took me 2 conversations with this Justin Tribble guy to get him to come out and tell the truth that, in fact, Dr. Bill Weld never existed. Now, that Dr. Bill Weld was this one that was spreading that nano-quell virus hoax, and Justin Tribble was the man behind it. He actually was Dr. Weld. And after I exposed him, boy, these people were pissed. They'd been after him for 2 months, and all of a sudden I come in here out of nowhere and I get him to turn around and flip and tell the truth. Well, it's just because I'm that damn good, and they are that damn fail. So I know a little bit about trolls that are butthurt here lately. And Pete and Susanna Cole are also the victims of butthurt. That's where all this came from, butthurt. Little background might come in helpful here. Susan Posel and radio host Vinnie Eastwood used to work with Pete Santilli. From what I understand, when Vinnie and Pete parted company and Pete started using the name Guerrilla Media Network, Vinnie said that he was the one who originally came up with the concept. He wasn't very happy that Pete stole his idea. That's Vinnie's version of events. I wasn't there, so since I don't know what was said, it's really kind of a he said kind of thing. But I would think that if Vinnie Eastwood had a legitimate claim, that he would have taken the appropriate legal action to reclaim the name Guerrilla Media Network instead of just going on a campaign of bad-mouthing Pete Santilli. Now, Susan Posel used to work for Pete, too. She was embedded with the Guerrilla Media Network for almost a year in 2012, but in November of that year, she asked Pete not to cover Dr. Wood's forensic investigation so much. She said that it was driving people away. Well, I understand Pete's reaction. This is his show, or that was his show, and he told Susan Posel that she'd better never tell him what to put on that show. So, about 2 weeks later, Susan Posel left Pete Santilli and started doing her own thing. Well, this started all kinds of butthurt over at American Freedom Radio, where Susan Posel, James Fetzer, Gordon Duff, and Daniel Ramiro worked to get Pete's show removed from American Freedom Radio. And as soon as I found out that Gordon Duff was one of the people that was attacking Pete, well, I knew that I'd hooked up with the right guy, because Gordon Duff is a piece of garbage. He's a liar. I don't care if he's a former Marine. He gave up that title when he gave up his honor and started shilling for the Iranians. Duff is one of the senior editors at Veterans Today, and he is absolutely a shill for the Islamic Republic of Iran. If you ever read an article originating at Veterans Today, you can bank on it being anti-American. Now, I may not like a lot of the things that my government is doing, but I love this country. And I would never sell out to the enemy like Gordon Duff has, just so that I could badmouth the United States and line my pockets with blood money. So anyway, now you know the source of the bad feelings toward Pete Santilli and the Guerrilla Media Network. Disgruntled employees. Now, let's get to the point of this segment of The Truth is Viral. At the tail end of the truckers' ride for the Constitution, an event that Susan Posel had been trashing since its inception, Vinnie Eastwood got a call into his radio show from a woman who had been running the truckers' Twitter account. She had just been fired by the truckers' ride for the Constitution. This woman's name was Dina Fleming. If you can put her picture up, that would be good. Another disgruntled employee. Now, Vinnie Eastwood brought Miss Dina Fleming onto his program to talk about her tweet asking, "Where's the money, Pete?" You can put that tweet up there if you like. In reference to funds that had been donated to the truckers. Now, from the very beginning of this interview, Miss Fleming says over and over, "I don't know about the money. I don't know where it went. That's what I'd like to know. That's why I'm asking the question. Where did the money go?"
We're talking with Dina Fleming and Suzanne Posel, talking about the truckers' ride for the Constitution. Dina, welcome to the program.
Hello.
Can you please give us your side of the story of what's actually going on here? Apparently, Pete Santilli, the infamous man, was in charge of donations and the media scrum for this particular event, and there was $500,000 in the account for which to pay for the truckers' fuel, and it's now gone, and it appears as though Pete Santilli might have been the one to steal it.
Yes, sir. That's what I'm asking, where the money is. To give you a little bit of background, I was watching the biker rally for a while, and that's how I heard about the trucker rally. And I happened to catch Zeta Andrews' name, and so when the original trucker Facebook page was shut down, I sent her a direct message and asked her what I could do to help. And she told me to run Twitter. And I have my own personal account, but I don't know much about Twitter, but I sure have figured it out. And, I have people in my life that have asked questions like, why is Pete Santilli, preaching unity and having, us administrators preach unity, and then turning around and saying disparaging things about the people that were supposed to be we the people. And I asked Vita that, and she called me evil. And so I just kept, I told her that I would not man Twitter until she could answer that. And I asked her to talk about, let's talk about this. I have this in screenshots. I said, obviously you're upset, you're stressed out. Let's talk about this in the morning. And so the next morning she sent me a Twitter or a message saying something like, if this doesn't work out, tell everybody I love them or something. And I have not been on Twitter since until people started asking, where's the money for the donations? And so I got on there tonight and I started tweeting away. Pete Santilli, where's the money?
Why does she care? She got fired. She's got nothing to do with it anymore. But even then, as a disgruntled employee with an axe to grind, she still never accused Pete Santilli of stealing that money. That all came from Vinnie Eastwood because he stated, now anybody that knows the meaning of the term stated, means it's a statement of fact. He stated in the headline of his video, Pete Santilli stole $500,000. Now, if Vinnie Eastwood lived in the United States, he'd be on the hook for defamation of character, libel, and slander. Because you can ask a question, did Pete Santilli steal $500,000? And get away with it. But if you make a statement that says, Pete Santilli stole $500,000, and you can't back it up, well, that's a crime. Now, never at any point, like I said, did this woman, Dina Fleming, accuse Pete Santilli of stealing any of the donations. As a matter of fact, to this very day, nobody but Vinnie Eastwood and Susan Posel has accused Pete of stealing any money whatsoever. Nobody from inside, the truckers' ride from the Constitution has given that accusation any merit whatsoever. The only person that had any question about it at all was somebody that fired, and she, by her own admission, did not know. But there's something about people that I'm going to start calling butt-hurdleists. Because even though they fail time and time again, they keep on harping on minutiae that doesn't matter, and on points upon which they've been proven wrong repeatedly. As if saying it often enough will make it true. And when outright lying about their target doesn't work, they manufacture evidence to bolster their claims. And that's exactly what happened here. And Anonymous is going to really want to start paying attention to this. And my board operator is going to want to start paying attention to it too. Because people that are watching this on YouTube Live are going to be able to see the screenshots that I'm going to be talking about. Oh yeah, baby. I've got the proof. Because I'm about to prove that Vinnie Eastwood and Susan Posel and a wannabe hacker that goes by the name of Evan Koser photoshopped a fax that Pete Santilli was supposed to have sent to his FBI handlers, asking why he'd been left twisting in the wind. They did this in order to fool Anonymous into thinking that Pete Santilli was an FBI informant, hoping that they would attack Guerrilla Media Network servers, which is exactly what they did. For weeks, the launch of my show, The Truth is Viral, was delayed because Pete was busy dealing with these denial of service attacks that shut down his chat room and overloaded his servers. It got to the point where Pete and Susanna Cole were having to record the show the night before so that they could broadcast somewhat uninterrupted. And all of this was done because of the lies and fabricated evidence presented by Eastwood, Posel, and Koser. Now, we're going to go to Twitter now, where the seeds of this plot were hatched on October 12th, when Koser contacted Vinnie Eastwood via Twitter and invited him to a hackers forum on the 4chan internet board. Eastwood accepted the invitation and gave Koser his Skype name so that they could hook up. If anybody wants to look at Vinnie Eastwood's Skype avatar, by the way, he's got a nice square and compass on there, a nice little Masonic symbol. Just a little aside. Now, the next time we see these guys, it's in a hacker chat room on 4chan, where they are actively and openly planning their frame job of Pete Santilli. And they're calling it Operation Skullfuck. Fortunately for Pete, there were real patriots in that chat room. And they took hundreds of screenshots that show this plan unfold from beginning to end. Even showing at one point the desktop of one of the hackers while they are inside of one of Pete's servers. It would take me hours to go over all of these screenshots individually, but if you'd really care to look at them for yourself, I will make them available at bobpowell.blogspot.com in a PDF format at the end of the show, and you can peruse them at your leisure. Now, the culmination of this plan was realized when the hackers broke into Pete's eFax account on October 28th, where someone created a fake fax from Pete Santilli to the FBI field office in Sacramento that stated Pete's cover in Operation Outtruck was about to be blown. How do I know that this fax was fake? Well, that's easy. There are two different versions of it, and both of them came from Vinnie Eastwood and Susan Posel. The first version appeared in a 4chan chat room, as evidenced by this screenshot right here. The timestamp on this one says that it was sent to the FBI at 1944 Greenwich Mean Time. And the only problem with that is that Pete tells me that his faxes have always shown a Pacific Standard Time stamp. That makes sense because Pete's in California But that's just what Pete says. That's hardly proof of anything, right? Well, here's the important part. When Susan Posel posted an image that was purportedly of the same facts, it not only looked different than the original, the new one has blue smudges all over the image that make it look like a old Xerox copy, you know, the blue copies that used to have it in school, that had been crumpled up, thrown away, and retrieved from the trash and ironed out. Now that's something that you should not see from a fax that has never been in anything but an electronic format. But here's the kicker. It had a different timestamp. The image that Posel posted, the second image that she posted, that was supposedly the same one as the first, had a timestamp of 21:31 Greenwich Mean Time. Now remember that the image captured on the screenshot in the 4chan chat room had a timestamp of 1944. While that's not proof of anything in itself, while not proof of anything in itself, it's interesting to note that Susan Posel's servers are in England, and their default timestamp would be Greenwich Mean Time. But it's very important to note here that both of these images were offered as proof of Santilli being an FBI informant by Eastwood and Posel. So if this was a legitimate fax, why would anyone change the timestamp? They wouldn't. It's that simple. But now that they had this image, Koser, Posel, and Eastwood approached the real hackers of Anonymous on the B-board, who eventually launched attacks on Pete Santilli's servers, totally unaware that they had been duped. At some point, the attacks abruptly stopped for no apparent reason. If I had to take an educated guess as to why, it would be that Anonymous discovered this discrepancy themselves and called off the attack. Welcome back to The Truth is Viral Live on the Guerrilla Media Network. I'm your host, Bob Powell, and it is 11:01 on the East Coast. And, you know, one thing is for sure through this whole mess. Nothing that Pete Santilli has been accused of since the beginning of this trucker's ride for the Constitution has been proven to be true. Not by a long shot. Vinnie Eastwood took a tweet from a fired ride worker asking where the money went. Not accusing, asking. And he wrote a libelous headline that stated that Pete Santilli stole the money. Not only did all 12 of Vinnie Eastwood's listeners believe him, but his show got a temporary boost in the ratings from people that wanted to know where their money went. And to listen to Vinnie Eastwood and Susan Posel talk about Pete Santilli and Susanna Cole, you'd think that they were the Antichrist and the Whore of Babylon. Well, I'm here to tell you that in the year that I've known Pete Santilli, he's never lied to me once. If he did, we would not be associated now. Despite the fact that we disagree on a few subjects, Pete's always been very gracious in allowing me to express my opinion on his show, even if it differs from his. And now he's allowing me to bring The Truth is Viral to the Guerrilla Media Network. So, do I owe him? Sure I do. But not so much that I would lie for him.
No, I'm not going to lie for anybody. As a matter of fact, when The Truth is Viral was just starting out, I gave up a very lucrative gig at Above Top Secret because they were trying to control the content of my show, and I'm not going to allow that. When I say lucrative, you know, for me it was lucrative. You know, just starting out, having nothing, living off disability. I got $900 for this episode on Libya, the truth about what happened when Muammar Gaddafi was murdered by Barack Hussein Obama. And you know, for me, that's a lot of money. That was more than a month's worth of my disability income. So, yeah, that could have been a monetarily lucrative gig. But I've got two things left in this life: my family and my honor. I'm not going to give up either one. I'm not going to let anybody take either one. If I say something on this show, you can, take it to the bank that I believe it to be true. I'm not carrying anybody else's water. I never have, and I never will. It's probably why I'm not rich. It's probably why I'm not a big old talking head. I'm a pain in the butt. But would you really have it any other way? Now, don't forget to watch this episode of The Truth is Viral right here, our Obamacare nightmare. Talks about how my wife has just lost her Medicaid. In the video description, you'll find tweets that are pre-composed, ready to go to be copied and pasted from your Twitter account to the talking heads in Washington, D.C. and New York, asking for their help. I don't know why my wife has lost her Medicaid. There's something fishy about this. I do know that after seeing this episode right here, I received a call from somebody that works at the Michigan Department of Social Services, and she allowed me to record our conversation. And she told me that there's a game that they play. And this game involves them getting what she calls brownie points for denying eligible clients the benefits to which they're entitled. And they get more points if these people are white. So, this whole Medicaid nightmare is just beginning, folks. And you're going to hear this interview this Friday night at 10 p.m. on bobpowell.blogspot.com as The Truth is Viral goes live from coast to coast from 10 p.m. until 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is one show you do not want to miss. You want to be there with us each and every week. So, I want to thank everybody for the prayers and the love and the support that you've been giving to me and to my family. It's very much appreciated and definitely needed. I'd like to thank you for watching The Truth is Viral. My name is Bob Powell, and as always, God bless, Semper Fi, and hoorah.
Thank you for watching The Truth is Viral with your host, Bobby Powell. Make sure to follow The Apocalypse on Twitter at The Truth is Viral. Like The Truth is Viral on Facebook, and if you can, please remember to donate to the cause via PayPal at www.bobpowell.blogspot.com.
Smack, runner, your game is